attempt number 3 to do the live show tonight. Let me just take a little water. I think I need it. If you're there, hello. Welcome to Real Talk with Angry Soccer Mom. I am trying for the third time to come on. We've had some technical difficulties, but hopefully this will work out. I shut down my complicated technology, and if you're out there, say hello, please, so I know at least someone is there. Tonight has been a disaster, but we can change that. Welcome to Real Talk with Angry Soccer Mom. Again, I'm really not as angry as I am disappointed in my fellow humans. I'm going to be real about this tonight. Things are heating up as we knew they would because the election's coming around and people are getting more lunatic-ish. I'm not sure how to put that. This week's discussion topics, as always, include anything you feel is newsworthy about racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption in America. And sad to say, that's pretty much everything and getting worse at every moment. The show is meant to be an opportunity for viewers to speak their mind about what they think. Jamie, hello there. Jamie, hi Kimberly, I was just watching a video, Black Lives Matter yelling F Jesus and burning Bibles and US flags. Really? That doesn't sound too good. You know, here's part of the thing. Jamie, I am very happy you're here. Black Lives Matter is a decentralized organization, which means, and I know you know this of all people, that anyone can claim to be representing Black Lives Matter. And so it's a little bit tough, but maybe tell us more about what you're, that doesn't sound really good. Burning Bibles and yelling F Jesus and the US flag. Sounds like somebody's really upset. And you know what? A lot of Black people probably are and stuff. But I don't know if they're representing the mainstream or whatever, but interesting. Sounds like people are starting to really, really get upset. And for Black folks in America today, I don't judge that. That's not my place. And second of all, okay, thanks, Jamie. And second of all, I don't know how I'd be if I was enduring this systemic racism as a Black person in America. I have no clue how it'd be. So who the hell am I to judge? But anyway, just important that we understand the facts and that we don't get too extreme in the sense that, no, that does not represent every person who believes that Black Lives Matter. It's just an important thing. So, show's meant to be an opportunity to speak your mind, and that is especially for people who are living in America and they've endured systemic racism at every single turn from the moment of birth and on. It's indoctrination. Nails and glitter. Jesus is dead, in case anyone was wondering. I don't think it's important or representative of Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I'm thinking probably not. You know, like I said, thanks, Nails and glitter. I agree with you. Part of the problem is anyone can say, I represent Black Lives Matter. And so, you know, if you read what they're really about, it's important to know because then you won't be fooled. But on the other hand, people are also using it as a infiltration and whatnot. And then you know what? There's always going to be people who just feel that way. So interesting. Thanks. I'll check it out after the show. This video talk show is meant to be an educational tool for white folks who it's really imperative we must learn the truth about our real racial history. Because if we don't, then we are simply kind of rendering an opinion that is ahistorical and has nothing to back it up because we don't know our own racial history. So we don't understand fully how the problems of today started long, long ago and multiplied and caused worse problems and worse problems. And guess what? It's still happening. Yes, it's still happening today. So it's not like we can say, oh, sorry, please forgive us, because we're still doing it. Kind of a problem. So dismantling of systemic racism is the only way we're going to ever get anywhere. And until we do that, we're going to be stuck. So I wanted to repost, and we're going to stuck in a bad way because this nation's going down unless something happens really fast. Right now, I am posting a way to contact me if you want to or want to help send information to me because the news is just turning over so fast, I cannot keep up. I'm sure you can't either. So I get a little extra help. Nails and glitter. Also, a bunch of white supremacists are burning things while calling themselves Black Lives Matter, so it's impossible to differentiate. Thanks, Nails and Glitter. I believe it. The the sabotage is beyond human understanding. It's really, really getting ludicrous with the lies, with the propaganda, with the misinformation, with the purposeful misinformation. I mean, it's nuts. So, really, really keep track of what you're watching because it might not be what you think. And I'm doing the same darn thing. It's hard to do. Just to let you know, I'm on Instagram at angry_soccer mom, and I'm on Twitter at imagine no hate. If you'd like to call into the show after the rant, I will give the number. It's right here. Hopefully, I won't get any prank phone calls. I wanted to give you quickly the debate schedule, which is coming up. I'm going to do chats for the debate, which are basically, if you want to watch the debate and you don't want to watch it alone, then watch it with me. And you can have live chat during the debates. First one is going to be September 29th in Cleveland. The next one is October 15th. The next one is October 22nd. And the sole vice presidential debate will be on October 7th. And I'm going to try to hold chat parties for all of them. So I hope you can join me. It's just basically a way to do live chat. So I'm going to start with my rant, and then we will talk about what's going on. Today's rant is about the problem with Trump modeling the Dunning-Kruger effect over and over every single day for almost 4 years. It's become a problem. I had the flu a few weeks before the COVID-19 pandemic was widely known to be in the United States. And I cannot tell you how many people took it upon themselves to diagnose me, which is actually kind of nice. But I wasn't severely sick, but I was definitely sick. After hearing my symptoms, one well-meaning friend told me I had allergies. Another said not to worry, that it was just a cold. And another said I had the flu and that there was a bunch of other people who had a ton of other things to tell me. And while I'm all for a healthy dose of friendly advice, I mean, everyone wants to put their 2 cents in. This little anecdotal brings me to the point I wanted to make today. And this may sound harsh, but all opinions are not created equally. They just aren't. No offense, friends. Today's information technology allows communication to happen so rapidly with people across the globe. And there's just an enormous amount of information. It's overwhelming. And because of this, people usually end up specializing in certain areas and becoming experts in their field. It's just there's too much information out there to sift through in science, social science, technology. Even the brightest people rely on and consult with experts. It's just how things have to go. So here's the problem. With social media, we have this ability to push a button and basically get linked to millions of people. Push a whole bunch of buttons and millions of people. And this sounds like a really good thing. And for some things, it is an excellent thing. Like there's like a total, catastrophe, getting to people really fast is really important. But for other things, it's catastrophic. Most of us are not remotely expert or even, quite frankly, no offense, knowledgeable about the information that we're pushing. And we push it with a click because it sounds good to us and it agrees with what we think. We simply don't know more than the world's foremost experts on the subject. I mean, I don't either. It's not everybody. Nobody does. I mean, we can't be experts in everything. Let's be real. So here's the problem. The world's foremost experts have dedicated their lives to becoming leaders in, the cutting edge of their fields. Here's an example. Climate change. It's easily documented that 98%, plus or minus, a few hundredths of percent, of the world's foremost experts say there is strong evidence for global warming. That's a lot of people all over the world. Yet we still have a large amount of people who have the arrogance and audacity, and I mean audacity, to say it's not true. I mean, oh my God. It's like crazy. And this happens in social science too, not just, hard science. For example, we have white folks who actually believe they know more about how to solve the problems of systemic racism in America than people in the Black community who have been living this on a daily basis their entire lives. So, why do we do this? Well, I really don't know, but I have a couple ideas that I'm going to share. So, what makes us so obnoxiously arrogant to the point that we believe we know more than people who have spent their entire life studying these issues? Now, mind you, I got to tell you, I'm no expert in this field, but social scientists call this phenomenon I'm referring to as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Dunning-Kruger effect sounds fancy. I'll tell you what it is. It's not. To put simply, in the field of psychology, the Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias we lean towards, in which people with low ability at doing something, we all have something we're not good at, overestimate their ability because of their lack of knowledge. It's a cognitive bias where the inability of people have the inability to recognize their lack of ability. Without self-awareness, we can't objectively evaluate whether we're competent or incompetent. Now, jokingly, to put it in simple terms, it's not very nice, but it's a joke. I like to call the Dunning-Kruger effect, I call it this, where people are too stupid to judge just how stupid they are in a certain subject area. In other words, you think you know everything there is to know because you know practically nothing, so you don't know. That being said, I am kidding. When someone's, it's a joke. But this stuff really is detrimental to having an educated populace. And part of our democratic republic, it needs an educated populace, because otherwise we're too easily influenced, which, yes, brings me to the cult we often call Trump's following, his clan. People being too easily influenced. So, when someone's opinion is considered equal and their knowledge is absolutely not equal, it leaves us picking and choosing what is and what isn't a fact. So, when you hear Trump questioning a scientist and a doctor who's the world's foremost expert in the field, there is one thing and one thing only you should think, and that is, oh my God, how ignorant and arrogant. What a fool. But people aren't doing that too much. Maybe people who watch this show are, but most people aren't. We've seen Trump's administration use this phenomenon time and time again against the average. And I say against because it's a tool. And we seem to fall for it. 40% of our populace, it would seem it doesn't matter what Trump does. He was saying he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and still not lose a vote. Well, how about this? How about he kills 200,000 people without giving a shit in America? And still he has followers, because that's the reality of it right now. If it's like we're throwing science out the door, academia out the door. I'm not trying to be an academic snob, but learning is kind of a cool thing because it helps us to live better, have a happier life, etc., etc. So the bottom line is everyone does not know everything about everything. Just a fact of life. Here's an example. Let's say you're taking a trip to the moon. It's my favorite moon example. A company has finally come up with this cool package where customers can visit the moon. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, you may be a little nervous since you're not really an astronaut. I'm not. Most people aren't. But not to worry, your best friend's seen the movie Apollo 13 5 times, and he's also a Star Wars fan. So he's qualified to inform you of all you'll need to know. I'm sorry, people, but I'll be getting my advice from an MIT graduate who just got, a PhD in astrophysics and is currently working for NASA and has had 3 moonwalks. My point is this. This is just as ridiculous, what I'm talking about, as someone who knows very little in a subject area and they pretty much take their word as the word of God over an expert's opinion in the field. Like I often say, thinking hurts. It really does. It's hard work. Do it anyway. Our democratic republic depends upon it. Rant over. Thank you for listening. It was a little bit of an arrogant rant, but I needed to say it. The Dunning-Kruger effect. Trump uses it as if he owns it, and people follow suit. So let me take a couple comments from everybody. I should comment during the commercials. Oh my gosh. Nails and glitter. Social media is Skynet. Just kidding. But seriously, we will destroy ourselves with it. Yep, apparently it is true. Yep, when stupid's hard to see how stupid. That's pretty much very good. That's another way to put it. Rather you say it than me. Anyway, the next thing I wanted to talk about, I want to know what you want to talk about because I have some things planned. Nails and glitter. Oh my God, nerds are offended. How dare he say he likes Star Trek? He can't even understand Star Trek. Okay, that's funny. It's this example that always comes to me. I don't even know if it's too accurate, but it just makes me laugh because stuff like that does happen. And the thing about me having a little, cold before the COVID hit the U.S., um, or we knew about it, it really does match. People tell me, "Oh, I know this, I know that," and it's just like so funny. And some people do know stuff, and some people have no clue. So, in other words, let's look at the source before we spread information. And I'm sure everyone here does that already, but boy, I get probably one or two things a day that's absolute fake news. And I've been getting things from QAnon from people, and I don't even know what to say. If you're spreading stuff from QAnon, that's really scary because it's all insanity. All right, let me keep going. Um, Today, I have a bunch of things to talk about. I want to talk about why there's no stimulus bill and the ramifications of that, explain a little more details about that. I want to talk about enough with the lies. Lies, lies, lies. It's just too much. There's two cases I wanted to follow up on really briefly, cases of police brutality. And one of the topics I have a video on is ICE practicing eugenics on detainees. Um, and then my last subject for tonight is Trump hired this like lunatic dude for communications, and he's supposed to be helping us with science like the COVID virus, and it's not working out so well. He's losing his mind, understandably so, but he's also extremely racist, extremely bigoted, extremely misogynistic, and I know this is going to come as a shock, but he really likes those, you know, theories that have no scientific backing. It's not good. It's really scary. Jamie, Trump said in Nevada he has been treated badly, so he deserves a third term. Um, was that recently? Because I know I said it a while ago. Yeah, he's pushing for a third term. He wants to be dictator. I think that's been made crystal clear. It's very terrifying. Um, Tonight's, I think every single week as it passes and gets closer to the election, it's going to be more terrifying. Tonight's got some stuff in it that is really scary at the end, that I hope people just need to be aware of. There's not a heck of a lot we can do, but we definitely need to be aware of it. So, does anybody have anything they want to bring up? Feel free to jump right in if you have a topic that I am missing, and you might have to provide the information for it. But I'll start with no stimulus bill. Nails and glitter. Do you have access to the antibody test in New York? Even if you did, having it isn't clear how we could keep our antibodies. There's multiple people who have tested positive. Yeah, actually, that's a great question. In New York, we do have access, but no one will prescribe it. My doctor won't. She said it's pretty much useless the second after you use it. She says there's so many flaws with it that she wouldn't use it, and it really will not give us much information at all. So that was kind of interesting. I think it has false positives actually. So I'm going to say kind of no for all practical purposes now. But anyway, good question. Trump likes to be number one. We're number one in the absolute worst response or lack thereof response of any like nation in the world and counting. Yeah, no, it's a good question. Thanks. So, no stimulus bill. Well, I was thinking about this, and there's a lot of people who are really struggling. I heard a statistic, which I have not checked, that 25% of American people are now under poverty level. Obviously, with so many people out of work and so much going on. As you know, if you get COVID and you get hospitalized, even if you have good insurance, you can easily be wiped out with one hospital one hospital tragedy, going to the hospital for week 2, 3, it wipes you out. The prices are exorbitant, and a lot of people pay a lot of money before that even kicks in. So our insurance isn't really insurance, really. So 80/20, yeah, it's, yeah, 80 to 200 grand. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, the number of people who are going to be impoverished from one thing or another is it's astounding. Big concern. So the stimulus bill really bothered me. Why the hell don't we have another stimulus bill? Why wasn't it weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago? Jane, Trump also said in California that the trees fall and dry up and explode and the leaves are fueled to the fire. Yeah, he's really, here's the problem. He doesn't, Mr. FS Black, hello. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for being here. Jamie, yeah, he really doesn't understand science um, as a, like a holistic. He kind of clings on to something that fits his narrative, and it's really scary because his folks do that too. And there's no better, the Dunning-Kruger effect is just, he lives on it. He literally lives on it, and so do his clan followers, because they aren't thinking for themselves anymore. They're not analyzing. They're not using, critical thinking skills, and they're following blindly a person who does not understand nor respect science. Nails and glitter, yeah, the rake the forest comment or the dumb. Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So today, no stimulus bill. Not passing through another stimulus bill is unconscionable to the American people. It's unbelievable. 40 million Americans are facing eviction in the coming months. 40 million. What's happening is that Trump let the eviction moratorium and unemployment checks expire when he bullshitted America about it. Let me explain. This means that people who are laid off basically won't be able to make their housing payments or any other payments. They can't pay rent, so they're being evicted now and over the coming weeks. Remember Trump's supposed executive order on the eviction moratorium? Well, it was a farce. I'm not sure how many people actually realize that, because you have to kind of read into it. It was really just a directive to the Treasury to study eviction. Okay, I'm sorry. Eviction means you get kicked out of your house, you have nowhere to live. Okay, there, it's studied. I'm sorry. Nothing was actually done. He did it for publicity, basically, or whatever he does things for BSing the public. Well, this past week or so, the CDC issued their own eviction moratorium by circumventing Trump, which was a good idea, I believe. I mean, I'm not sure, but it doesn't have a lot of power to it. The order, what it did was it barred eviction for non-payment of rent. It will put a halt on evictions, but it's really a flimsy thing because it won't hold up. The money is still due. The way the CDC kind of went around Trump to try to do something, which I suppose we should credit them for it, was by claiming that this eviction moratorium was a public health measure, preventing the spread of COVID-19, which they could do by preventing large congregations in homeless shelters and shared housing and basically people who have no home to live in. This does not impact or include eviction of homeowners. So if you're down on your mortgage, you're down on your luck. The CDC will not be able to help you. So what is the CDC trying to do? Well, they're trying to keep people housed when the government refuses to do it. And it's not just Trump. It's obviously the GOP has this idea, maybe it's how they think, that if they could just get free money, that they wouldn't work. Well, the problem is they don't understand this free money isn't much. You can't really live on it. You can struggle and just scrape by sometimes, but it's not that much. And it's not something that makes you think, kick back, I'm going to have a yacht now, or, I'm going to have a steak and lobster every night. Give me a freaking break. It is not a disincentive, as we have learned, to work. For the love of God, struggling monetarily is not fun. Ask anybody who's done it. What the CDC's moratorium does is it makes the renter promise. It's kind of crazy, but they did something. Promise to pay back and sign a legal document saying that they'll be homeless if they're kicked out. So it's kind of like a informal, very informal you do with your landlord. But the order doesn't cancel rent, it doesn't provide assistance, it doesn't pay money or relieve renters of the back amounts they owe. The CDC does not have this type of authority. So the landlord can still charge you fees and interest on unpaid rent. And after the order runs out at the end of 2020, all your payments are due or you'll be evicted. So basically, what Trump did made him look like he was doing something, but he didn't do shit. Okay. And he still hasn't. So this is really bad. I don't know if you guys know people who are being evicted, but this is a sick thing. It didn't have to happen. It doesn't have to happen. It's horrific. So it puts a hold on being kicked out, but it does nothing to help find a job. It does nothing to subsidize anything. So there's an awful catch to the CDC moratorium, and that is that the landlord can still evict you now or for anything other than non-payment. So they say you mess up the place there or whatever, they'll kick you out anyway. So you might get kicked out anyway, and there's nothing stopping them. Let's say they say you're not keeping it neat enough, or I don't know, something in your contract. So they can kick you out still for something non-rent related. So it really is barely a Band-Aid to hold you over as if we're going to get some sort of incredible job that you'll be able to pay, years of rent off. I don't understand this, but so those who are presenting this declaration can stay with the promise of full payment at the end of the year, but they could also be retaliated against by the landlord. So many tenants are afraid to sign the waiver to stay and till the beginning of 2021. Another problem is there are criminal penalties for violating the eviction ban, but the CDC doesn't have any police force to enforce this. So it's all kind of up in the air and not good. In other words, let me go back to the top here, get my numbers straight. Essentially, there are 40 million Americans in the next 2, 3, 4 months who are going to be homeless, and it's going to be a disaster. It already is, and our government's doing nothing about it. So it's just really scary. Trump got the headlines he wanted. He wanted headlines for an eviction moratorium when the people can still be evicted. So there's only so much a government agency can do to stop this cruelty and put a halt to the homelessness of millions of Americans. Real laws need to be passed through the Senate and House and signed by Trump. And we have known about this, as we all know, since, January, February. I mean, we've known about this for a long time. This is not some surprise. They just don't care, I guess. Nelson Glitter, the worst part is there's nobody waiting to rent these units, so the landlords could default on their mortgages whether they evict or not. Yeah, it's really, really bad. It's really bad. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So what do you guys say about that? I mean, do you know anyone who's getting evicted? I saw people on TV. I saw people getting evicted left and right on the news, and it was really sad. I saw something where even the moving man, he was crying. He didn't want to do it, but he didn't know what to do. So what do you guys think? Anything? Is anybody just getting sick of all this shit? Like worn out, exhausted, tired? Just beyond like, I know I am. This is exhausting. And I don't have to live it every day. I just read about it, report about it, write about it, talk about it, blab about it, but I don't have to live it. I cannot imagine living this right now. It's really awful. My next thing I have prepared, if nobody else has anything to say tonight. Oh, Nails and Glitter. The worst part is there's nobody. Oh, yay. I already got that. Don't know how that happened. That's weird. It disappeared and then it reappeared. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the lies. I just wanted to read a quick post from Anonymous. Oh, it's okay. I got it. Gotcha. From Anonymous. And it's basically to a friend. If I still have any friends that are supporting Trump, here's my final reply. I didn't write this, and it was anonymous, so I don't know who did, but I thought it made sense. It's very general. I mostly agree with it. I want to know what you think. If I have any friends still supporting Trump, here's my final reply. They say we want to ban police departments and that we hate the police. We don't. That's a lie. Some of us probably do, but this is generic. We want to weed out racism and unnecessary police brutality for those who abuse their power to be held accountable. That's what we want. They say we want to release all prisoners. We don't. That's a lie. We want to weed out racism and ensure the punishment matches the crime and to deprivatize prisons. I can add in personally, stop the school to prison pipelines, get police who do nothing but get Black, brown, indigenous, and African American kids in trouble. They're not stopping shootouts. They're basically criminalizing behavior, criminalizing normal kid behavior. That's what they're there for. I did a video on it. So if you want to check it out later. Um, they say we want open borders. We don't. That's a lie. We want asylum seekers to be given a chance to seek asylum. We want to help people who are coming from unimaginable terror and poverty and help give them the chance we have. We want to ensure children aren't separated from their parents and nobody is kept in a cage. But we do want proper vetting. One thing to understand, the way the European migration of asylum seekers went over the past couple of years has absolutely nothing to do with how the United States does it. We don't do it that way. Okay, we don't have open migration. We never have. No one's that I know of has ever wanted that. That's dangerous. Okay, we have what's called controlled migration of asylum seekers. Well, now we basically have put them in cages and take them from their loving parents and do cruel things to them, and like we might get into later on, possibly eugenics going on now. We're not sure. I'll get into that later. But this is all lies. And the GOP has run on lies, and the GOP senators have basically been wimps, total wimps. Really not what I would call upstanding citizens, because they have listened to the lies and they have kept their mouth quiet, or worse, they've even, basically perpetuated them. I have never in my life seen a group of people who are supposed to be leaders of our country back a total lunatic like they have. There's a special hell for these people, because I don't know how they live with themselves. Lack of personal integrity, like times 10. Okay, times 1,000. Let's be real. It's disgusting, and I don't know how they live with themselves, but clearly they do. They say we want logical. They say we want to take away your guns. Hi, Mahako. How are you? Welcome. Hope I'm saying your name right. I think I said that last time. Welcome to the show. Just having a quick talk about an anonymous write-up that I found on social media that I kind of liked. They say we want to take your guns away. Well, you know what? That's what they always say. That's like classic cliche. No guns are being taken away. I think people just want logical gun control that prevents mass shootings and common sense things. If you can't fly in a plane, but you can have a semi-automatic weapon, I don't know. The bottom line is semi-automatic weapons shoot people, hundreds and hundreds very, very quickly. Whereas the other kind, not so much. And it really does make a difference. They say we want to wage a war on Christianity and Christian values. We don't. That's a lie. We want people of all religions to be able to practice and worship freely. They say we want to get everything for free. We don't. That's a lie. We want to work hard and make sure that the healthcare and education are affordable for all. In my mind, healthcare is a human right. We have for-profit healthcare in America, and that, in my very outgoing opinion, is disgusting. They say we want to wage a war against traditional marriage. We don't. That's a lie. We just want people of all sexual orientations to be able to love freely, no matter who they love. Okay? They say we want to destroy or rewrite history. We don't. That's a lie. We want to recognize the ugly parts of our past and do everything we can to say that's not okay. Let's not honor those aggressors. Let's not let those things happen again. Personally, my favorite kind of video to make is hidden history, whitewashed history about what happened to people who were not white last year, the year before, 10 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, because our history has been whitewashed. And if you learn our real racial history, you will never you will never stop, because it is unbelievable. The lies and the horror are beyond human understanding. If you're brave enough to do it, I strongly suggest doing it. It will change your life. We don't want to rewrite history. And I'm not speaking for anyone, but me and my 10 personalities, we don't want to rewrite history. We just want the truth to be told, because the truth makes sense. The truth is honest. All right. They say we want to take away your constitutional rights. We don't. That's a lie. We choose to believe in science and wear masks and try to prevent the spread of disease. This is not rocket science, people. This stuff's been done for a really long time. Okay? They say we hate America. We don't. That's a lie. We just recognize our faults and want to do better. We want us to do better. So stop it with the us versus them. Stop with the straw man argument. Stop with the fake news. Stop with the Fox News. No offense. Stop with the Fox News. It's entertainment. It's not real. Our position is one of empathy, compassion, and logic. Stop believing the hype. Stop with the division and educate yourself. Just because we want equality for all doesn't mean we want to take something away from you. There's enough equality to go around. But right now, it's not going around. It's going to white people and the wealthiest elite white people. And everyone else is getting screwed. We have a very common plight. It's time for white America, the masses, to unite with our brothers and sisters who are brown, Black, African American, Indigenous, because the wealthiest elite are banking on we won't. Literally and figuratively banking on the fact that we're too stupid to get together. Because once we get together, that is a voting bloc that will be unstoppable. The wealthiest elites are screwing us all over. And we're letting them, because we white folks, we love blaming Black people for everything, okay? And I'm laughing because it's just so ridiculous of all the things to do. It's like blaming the victim. Systemic racism has all but destroyed just Black people and African American people and brown people. It's such a sick, ongoing crime against humanity. Yet we blame them for our problems. That's just beyond obnoxious. That's just really fucked up. So I'm just saying, I don't know how we get away with it. The people who are causing us our problems are the wealthiest elites who run this country. Call it an oligarchy, call it what you will. Soon to be, if it's not already, a dictatorship. There's not going to be an announcement. No one's going to say, all right, well, maybe they will. God, maybe there will be. Maybe Trump will make an announcement. But if Trump wins, my personal opinion is that it's done. Even if Biden wins, I still think it might be done. It's gone too far. We have an uneducated populace. It might be too late. Just my take. So, nails and glitter. It's easy to get on a no-fly list, though. Arguably not as easy to convict someone of a felony. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy rules, a lot of states and whatnot. A lot's going on with this. I'm not all for like giant federal government, but if it's a really good federal government, I might be. Because at this point, we need some freaking leadership in this country. And the two videos I want you to listen to today are pretty scary, really scary. I have a couple more things. Does anyone want to talk about anything else? Anything? Jump right in if you have something to talk about. I have 2 police cases that are developing and they're from the past that I wanted to discuss if nobody has anything else to talk about. Do you remember the Texas police officer that was indicted on charges? I have a quick follow-up. Nails and glitter. My issues are when the Trump gets a hold of the federal government. When the Trumps get a hold of the federal government. Oh, when their reign of terror continues. Yeah, Me too. Gary, welcome. Thanks for being here. Very, very happy to have you. Yeah, nails and glitter. I hear you. I keep saying they didn't name their child Baron for nothing. Um, we all know he looks up to dictators and wants to be one. And when I say there won't be an announcement, what I'm referring to is this is a gradual occurrence and it is happening now. He's circumventing the Constitution. He's circumventing tradition, and he's basically getting everything tied up in litigation, and it's really scary. And he's done some really bad, horrible things. Think of the people that are working for him. Are It's awful. It's really awful. It's gone too far, and I think it might be too late personally. But don't mind me, the soothsayer of doom. I kind of tend to be because I'm just way too into this. Nails and glitter. Bigger government is scary since big and small governments are both failing. Yeah, it does. I guess so. Yeah. So in Texas this week, a Texas police officer was indicted on charges for something last year, 2019 fatal shooting of a mentally ill Black woman while he was attempting to arrest her. I don't know if you'll recall this. I have a video on it. Do you remember the woman who was killed by a police officer in Texas? She was a 44-year-old woman with schizophrenia, and she died in May of 2019 after De La Cruz attempted, now as a police officer, apprehend her for outstanding warrants as she walked through an apartment complex where the woman, Turner, and De La Cruz both apparently lived. It's a strange story. The video looked like an execution to me. It's on my channel if you want to check it out. I don't highly recommend it. It is awful. It's the murder of a woman in front of your face. I just want to know, what do you think of this timeline? He's finally maybe going to get in trouble for this. I get the feeling he'll be let off because she did grab his taser. So, I mean, I'm guessing that once that happens, all bets are off. And, you know, the craziest thing is we need standards for our police. That's like the understatement of the century. We need standards. And it's just like it's just a free for all. I mean, it really is. I feel like, and I want to know what you guys think. I feel like today, being a police officer, it seems to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that basically, if you want to be a bad guy but don't want to get in trouble, you can become a police officer. They give you a gun, they give you impunity. Basically, you fear for your life and sound halfway reasonable, and you can shoot and kill anyone you want. And quite frankly, it's disgusting. Why do I think this? Because that's what's happening. And those are the standards. Those are the only national standards that I know about, is that you have to seem like you are acting reasonably, and you have to say you fear for your life. Well, you can fear for your life anytime, any place. No one can read your mind. So that's a given. And reasonable, you know, you're a police. So you have this false sense of, you know, high standards, which we all know, if you think about it, they're some of the lowest standards. They're lower standards than a layperson has. Like, I always see a police, I thought if a person, just an average citizen did that, they'd be arrested on the spot. But lo and behold, we have this, you know, police just pretty much can act like a gang and criminals. And we see that at the protests over and over again. I think it's business as usual in America. I don't approve, but it's the reality. Yeah. Gary, an old friend has voted once in his life for Trump because he stands for what my friend does. Odd that he has Native American children, Black grandchildren, and a Muslim son-in-law. Wow. What a slap in the face. Gary, I don't get that. I don't get it. I have a family member who has, well, Black relatives, Indian relatives, gay, lesbian relatives. I could go on and on. No Muslim relatives, but Jewish relatives, Christian relatives, Catholic relatives, Trump supporter. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's unbelievably rude and horrible. It's a cult. That's the only thing I can think of. It really has the cult-like thing going on big time. Like, I think we all know that. Nails and glitter. Not odd at all. Lots of racists have family members they look down on and swear they aren't racist. Of course they do. Everybody's constantly swearing, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. Well, with all these not racist people, we sure as hell have a lot of problems in America with racism. What do you know? Nails and glitter. Even the best white people have racist tendencies. Just the culture. Absolutely. Even the best. It's a constant, constant battle. Absolutely, because we too were born into the society that indoctrinates us from birth, and it is a powerful indoctrination, such that most white folks have no idea it's even happening. We never question why band-aids match our skin tone and nobody else's. We're not even, we don't even consider ourselves white. In fact, if you want to piss off a white person, call them white. Just say white people, and they get enraged. They get triggered. It's crazy stuff, but we have a long ways to go if we want true equity. So that was the one case, and it was the case that was really, really sad. And he is now has this officer has the possibility of getting like 5 years in prison. Um, I don't know what you think. Some people might have thought that was warranted. I didn't. Say white and yes. Yep, yep, yep. It's for, maybe people who are watching this show might not really realize that because you're probably used to saying it and hearing it, but try it in public and see what happens. Go for it. It's like really scary. People lose their shit. Mr. F.S. Black, the only standard for police is treating everyone who isn't white like the enemy and use your badge as license to do anything you want, even kill. 100% agree. That does seem to be the standard. And I'm sorry that there might be people who don't have that standard. There are too many that do. So we'll talk about the general status quo. And I absolutely believe that is true as well. And it's unconscionable. Somebody told me to look up the I'm going to blank on them. The killing acts, oh goodness, I'm blanking. It was not the killing acts. It's called it's basically a law from long ago that would allow you can kill an enslaved human being and never be considered a murder even. And sometimes people are comparing that. There's exact words, and obviously I'm forgetting the exact terminology, but it's basically allows you to just, you don't have to be a police. You can just be anyone to murder an enslaved person with impunity. And a lot of people are kind of comparing that to the police nowadays. I don't blame them. So another case. Do you remember the case in Salt Lake City where the man, this police officer named Nicholas Pierce, he's been finally suspended after the video that showed him ordering a police dog to eat this man's leg off. Basically, I have it on video. It was disgusting. The man wasn't even doing anything. The man had surrendered and was still, and he was even in cuffs. And this little psycho policeman sicks his dog, a canine trained to devour someone's leg, onto this guy. And it was just the most brutal, barbaric, horrible thing. Well, anyway, a man named Jeffrey Ryans on April 24th. I don't know if you guys remember this. He suffered injuries so severe that he had the possibility that his leg would have to be amputated. He was having horrible infections and he has nerve damage. While he was on his knees with his hands in the air, this officer, Pierce, ordered a police canine dog to attack him in his own freaking backyard. Officers were responding to a call placed by a neighbor who heard Ryan arguing with his wife, who had filed a protective order against him. But Ryan's, who was a train engineer, was ready to go to work, and he was smoking in the backyard when the police arrived. And what happened was, in the video, police asked Ryan's wife, "Is he not supposed to be here because he's got a protective order against him?" She responded by saying he was there when she got home. Ryan says that he had been back in the home for several weeks. So apparently she was perfectly okay with this. And I don't know what happened, but they decided he was a bad guy. And the responding officer located Ryan's in the backyard of his own house. And as the husband's talking to one cop from the outside of the backyard fence, two others enter, yell, "Get on the ground or you're going to get bit," immediately. I don't know if you guys remember this. Pierce yelled in the footage. He was screaming. Right. So Ryan gets on his knees and he raises his hands in the air and says, I'm just going to work, And although he cooperates perfectly, Pierce commands his dog named Tuco to hit Ryan's, which means bite his leg off, basically. And the canine lunged toward him, clamped on his leg. And So basically, the victim, the perpetrator now turned victim, supposedly not supposed to be there, is he says, I'm on the ground, and he's yelling, like, why are you biting me? And the dog is mauling his leg, and he's screaming in pain. It is the most horrible thing. And Pierce says, good boy, encouraging his dog to keep mauling his leg off. He's cuffed. He's on his stomach. He's on the ground. He's not doing anything wrong. The dog literally is attacking his leg, and he can't even get the dog off. Um, so this was just so sick, so sick. And now in the video, you hear Ryan saying, bro, you're listening great now. You weren't listening a minute ago. I mean, this guy's like a real sicko. So pending an investigation, Pierce has been finally placed on administrative leave, and they're doing a full investigation finally. And something did happen because of this. Kind of interesting. I thought they would do nothing. Like, oh, well, it's a black man. No one gives a shit. It's kind of the usual MO. But apparently, Salt Lake City took all police dogs and suspended them. Suspended the dogs. How about the people? Sorry. Dogs are just following orders. Suspended them. Ryan endured multiple injuries, and he has sustained some injuries that he can't play sports. He can't run around. His attorney said he's, has some severe nerve damage and tendon damage and whatnot. He said, I felt like a chew toy. I wasn't running. I wasn't fighting. I was cooperating. We've been through this. We've all seen this. Always cooperate with the police no matter what. I mean, this is not a horrible person. But these police purposefully, he was cuffed on his tummy on the ground, not moving. You could see it in the video. He sicked his dog on him and allowed him to maul the living shit out of his leg. It was so sick, and the guy's screaming in pain. So I was just traumatized by that. Beyond, oh God. If the city doesn't respond, Ryan's is going to sue them for excessive force. His wife says that he's requested the protective order to be lifted, but that order still is pending, and there's just so much going on. On August 3rd, the mayor of that city signed an executive order that makes de-escalation, now listen to this, like, should this already be in place, people? Hello. Mandatory rather than suggested or preferred. So what they're trying to tell us is that in Salt Lake City, before the mauling of this man's leg, while in cuffs, while doing what he was supposed to do, while the dog's eating his leg off, police did not have to. It was not mandatory that they de-escalate. It was suggested or preferred. What the actual, you know what? That is just freaky. We need leadership at the federal level. I'm sorry. This is just my opinion, and I am not an expert. I am the first one to tell you. I am not an expert in police, but I am pretty decent with common sense. Okay? De-escalation makes it so people live, so people aren't injured as much. We all know that. This is common sense. Why wouldn't we all have to try de-escalating? Mandatorily try this. It just is common sense. Anybody else think that? So apparently the mayor took the opportunity, which I don't know this mayor, I don't know much about him, but good for him or her, to switch it to mandatory. Now, I didn't know mayors had that capability, quite frankly, but from now on in Salt Lake City, police are required to de-escalate before they use force. I'm sorry, people, that's common sense. Oh my God. Okay. Let me take some comments and then we can keep going. Nails and glitter. Mr. Respect, they kill the white people too. Police behavior is dangerous to all. Yes, it's true. They just harm, kill, maim, and disable Black people in higher percentages. But yes, they do also hurt white folks. And that is why, if you're a white person and you think police brutality is okay, you are a lunatic, because the numbers are actually probably higher for white people. The numbers, not the percentages, but the actual numbers. Police who join the force to do anything other than protect and serve are incredibly dangerous. And that's a very general statement. I think I feel pretty safe making. We have a real problem in our nation, and we have always had a real problem. But apparently, something is getting through to more people now. I don't know if we're seeing it on video. I don't know if it's that there's a pandemic and people are have nothing to do but watch police brutality on social media. I don't know if people are so impoverished now they finally freaking realize that Black people aren't the enemy. Black people are the victims of systemic racism, including police brutality forever and always, since they began as slave patrols. And like I said earlier in this show, is about stinking time white America, the masses, realize we have a common plight with Black, brown, African American, indigenous people to unite and realize no, they are not our enemy. Our enemy loves racism. And that is the wealthiest white elites because they get to keep on taking our money while we work for them for free by hating on the wrong people. We hate on Black people, and I do not understand why. They are the victims, just as many white people are, of economic policies. Yet, the white elites keep making laws that are benefiting them. The middle class is almost non-existent. People are struggling every day in America. We're one of the countries that has the largest amount of hours of like nations, the least amount of off time. It's unbelievable. The statistics are grueling. Sadists on the police force, yeah, there's apparently, because you're seeing it over and over and over. And like I always say, I thought during the protests the police would think this is our opportunity to show our excellent behavior. Yet, oh, how wrong I was. How silly, how naive. If nothing else, they have shown us, everybody in the world, the real true culture. And it's always been this way. It's just hidden a little bit better before. Now, no one, and I mean no one, can say, oh, I didn't know. And so as you see these signs, we support our police, that's basically saying, fuck you, Black people, as far as I'm concerned. When I see those signs on the road, I think, you know what? Man up, woman up. Just say what you think. Say what you really think. Because I call BS. We support our police. I know exactly what that means. Just means the same thing as all lives matter. Screw Black people, screw African American people, brown people, indigenous people. That's what it really means. And people know that. And if they say they don't, they're full of it. Neil, Kitchen Politics, welcome. Gary, our local sheriff's department has a plethora of jerks for years. Yeah, I asked my kids about ours because they go into town and same thing. They said the same damn thing. Yep. And that's the thing. Gary, you're absolutely right. There is no such thing as a good police. And I'm sorry to say, if they're not doing it themselves, they're covering up or looking the other way. They might as well be doing it themselves. The culture is absolutely horrendous. Just horrendous. Let me see. I don't think, Nails and Glitter, I skipped you by accident here. I don't think it's even most of the police that are really bad, but the decent ones cover for the bad ones, and then they are desensitized to what they deal with. Yeah, I mean, that could be true. I don't know, but all I know is it's a culture. I read an article, the other day by an ex-police officer who was very truthful. And when he was an officer, I'll tell you this 6-6 story. When he was an officer, the first form of racism he saw and said nothing was an officer that was higher up than he came to the crash site of a Black man in a car. And the Black man he checked for a pulse. The Black man was dying, like going to die. And this new officer heard this other higher up say, guess you're going to, something like, guess you're going to die today, huh? Like a total smug little jackass. like a real, like a Ku Klux Klan member, quite frankly. That sounds like something I think they would say, I'm guessing. And he heard that and he did not report it. Like he basically was smug to a man in his last breath. And that is fucking barbaric. That's barbaric. I mean, that's like, that's true evil. I'm sorry. That's true evil. And I read that and he was admitting this and, and then finally he admitted a lot of other things, but that one just hit me. I was like, oh my God, that's like not even trying to hide your cruel, evil, sick. Some man had to die with that being the last thing they heard. That makes me just want to just scream. Mr. F.S. Black. I saw footage of a cop with an old man backed into a corner, telling the man to slap him, and when the man does, he gets bum rushed by the cops and his partner. It was a disgusting abuse of power. Oh my God, it's like a power trip. It's unbelievable. So many things. Really, really bad. Uh-oh. Got nabbed. Kitchen politics. My internet's been going in and out all day. Quick story. Riding from the store in the hurricane weather, cop patrol stopped me for ID. It was raining. Have a nice night. He called me boy, and I was being a dick. He called you boy? Oh my God. Wow. I am so sorry. Oh, I would love to see that on tape. I'd start a campaign to tell us if you need any calls to be made. I would be more than happy to get a bunch of people together and make a few phone calls. It might not do anything, but that is just really messed up. I am so sorry. Wow. Sorry, kitchen politics. Awful. Yep. I hear you. Kitchen politics, Trump causes where, yeah, it's the racism. It's out of control. But it's always been like this. It's just he is making people, allowing them, encouraging them, emboldening them. And you guys, please be careful. Kitchen politics, I know you bike, and just be careful because things are going to get a lot worse, not better. Racists can have a badge and can be a dick all they want. I can't wait to go live out west. I know. Yeah. It's really tough. It's really tough. I'm just so sorry. Did that happen today? Like, I just messaged you earlier today. So that hadn't happened yet, I guess. Wow. I don't even know what to say. This is really scary. Let me see if I skipped anybody. You probably did. Please don't hate me. Let me see. Looking back. You can yell at me if I skipped you. I was just kind of glossing over everything. New Mexico happened 10 minutes ago. Anyone from Albuquerque in here? Wait, did it happen to you just now? I must be confused. Tell me more. Maybe I'm confused. I thought you were saying this happened to you just now, or maybe this was a video you watched. Are you in New Mexico right now? You're not at home. Maybe I'm just confused. There's an interesting video that I want you guys to see and to hear, and it is really crazy. It's from Trump's Pennsylvania town hall. Yeah, always record nails and glitter. Absolutely. It's from Trump's the town hall that he did. It sounds like it was just a shit show. I don't know if you guys watched it. I certainly didn't. Trump was confronted about making light. Yes, just now. Went for a cigarette and ice cream, minding my own business. Cops are bored in Florida. Wow. I am so sorry that happened. I want ice cream, but I'm just saying. Wow. I worry about you. I really do. Because, boy, that's terrifying. Called you boy? insane. That's so rude. That's so demeaning. But apparently in this video, or in this town hall Trump did, he got questioned by a bunch of people, and I want to play it for you because I think it's really interesting. Trump claims there's not a race problem and that there's none. He has respect for all races, and he doesn't think there's a race problem. I mean, the man is just beyond human understanding. So let me play one of these videos for you, and we will see here. I will do my best if I can get it going. These videos, you got to know what's going on, right? Zoop, 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 zoop. Let me just grab it, and hopefully you can hear it. There I am. Boop. And I hope I can do this. This video is really, really crazy. This is about Trump's new, well, the propaganda campaign. I guess, let me just think about this. Maybe I can play this one and we'll see. This is just a few minutes. There's a couple of videos I wanted to play for everybody. The White House is circulating fake news of their own. And what they did was they played actually, you know what? My sound's not going to go on. Let me see if I can do this. Let me try again. What they did was okay, you could just watch it if you want on my channel. There is this fake news going around, and it is absolutely insane. It's like the GOP's not even trying anymore. Trump's retweeting it, and all of his buddies are putting all these videos. Did you guys see the video of Biden supposedly sleeping through an interview? Total fake news. It's unbelievable. Somebody superimposed a song on top of Biden that made him look really racist, and Trump retweeted it. I have a whole slew of things on this one video I put up. It's like my fourth to last video I put, showing the combination of all the disgusting lies that the GOP is telling. And they're not even good lies, but they're really kind of bad lies. I guess not that there's a good lie. But the next thing I want to show you is a topic that is still being talked about, and it's still being formed. And it has to do with eugenics. It has to do with people in ICE custody, women, Latinx women, at a particular Georgia facility where they are doing hysterectomies at extreme rates. In other words, stopping women from being able to bear children. That's eugenics. We have a history of eugenics in America, and I wanted to play you the audio of that so you know what's going on. It's disgusting, and it's obviously going to be looked into, but tricking women who are basically prisoners into taking away their right to have children, that is really effed up. That's some sick shit in 2020. And that sounds like what's going on. So let me just see if I can get that tape and we can listen. And it is scary, but you need to know what's going on because there's so much going on. It's insane. All right. Where is it? Okay. This is a whistleblower who actually gave her name. And hopefully you can hear it. Let me see.
And Customs Enforcement ICE facility.
Let me start this again.
Yesterday, we learned about a whistleblower, a nurse, working at a Georgia Immigrations and Customs Enforcement ICE facility, leveling, honestly, ghastly allegations, chief among them, that women in that facility, migrant women, say that a doctor was performing unauthorized hysterectomies on immigrant women detained at that facility which again is privately run. Now, you might have seen this story zipping around social media, understandably. And the allegations come from a formal complaint that was actually filed with the watchdog at the Department of Homeland Security. And the whistleblower is on the record, is named. Her name is Dawn Wooten. She was employed by that detention center. And along with those unauthorized hysterectomies, the complaint also alleges the facility lacked protection against coronavirus for detained immigrants, and that detainees suffer from a general lack of medical care. We've been chasing this story all day along with some of my colleagues here at NBC. Tonight, we can report a lawyer named Benjamin Osorio, representing women at that very facility, told NBC News that indeed 2 of his clients received hysterectomies they believe may have been unnecessary. And tonight, we here on All In spoke with another attorney who represents 2 different women who claim they also had unnecessary hysterectomies while detained at this facility. That lawyer tells us that as many as 15 immigrant women were given full or partial hysterectomies or other procedures for which no medical indication existed. Now, we reached out to ICE with these accusations. They sent us a long statement disputing these allegations and the implication that detainees are used for experimental medical procedures. They do say an independent office will investigate these claims. ICE also says that since 2018, only 2 individuals at the facility were referred to certified credential medical professionals for hysterectomy. Of course, the referred is the question here. I should also tell you, NBC has also reached out to the private company that runs this facility. While they are not commenting on the specific allegations, they say they have a strict zero tolerance policy for any kind of inappropriate behavior at their facilities, and they refute any allegations of misconduct. The nurse behind that whistleblower complaint who got this all started is Dawn Wooten, and her lawyer, John Whitty, joined me now. Dawn Wooten and John Whitty, it's great to have you both. Thank you very much. Ms. Wooten, I want to start with you and just ask you to tell us what you did. What was your job at this facility? When did you start working there?
I was first employed at Irwin County Detention Center in 2010. I've been to this facility on three different occasions. I returned in 2014, worked until 2016, came back in 2019. I was a nurse there, a medication nurse. I worked 6A to 6P. We did total detainee and total inmate care were my responsibilities there.
You talk about in the complaint a hearing from women who are detained there, talking about a specific doctor performing hysterectomies, referring to him as a uterus collector. Tell us about how you heard about this doctor and what women said about their experiences with him.
You have detained women. I had several detained women on numerous occasions that would come to me and say, Miss Wooten, I had hysterectomy. Why? I had no answers as to why they had those procedures. And one lady walked up to me here this last time around between October of 19 until July the 2nd. And she said, what is he? Is he the uterus collector? Does he collect uteruses? And I asked her, what does she mean? And she says, everybody that I talked to has had a hysterectomy. And you just don't know what to say. I mean, I don't have a answer for why that they would come to me and they would say, is he the uterus collector?
How would you describe the standard of care, the sort of medical environment in which these migrants were detained?
The standard of care wasn't timely all the time. They would have a procedure to where they would fill out forms to be seen. Those forms would be shredded. They would be told in area instances that, there's nothing going on with them, just on numerous occasions. And as a human, you just don't treat people inhumane. I have a title as a licensed practical nurse, and I protect my title with dignity to where I was raised by you treat people as you want to be treated. The sanitation, especially during COVID, the sanitation was horrible. We didn't have anything to sanitize with. We didn't have the proper PPE. So they didn't have the proper PPE. They didn't have anything to sanitize with while they were down in the dorms as well. And when you ask, you will be reprimanded.
Did you have cases of COVID in that facility? What were the steps taken to deal with it as the outbreak in the country happened?
When we first had the first case of COVID there in the facility, it was COVID is not here in the facility. Then we had another case and it was like COVID was not here in the facility. We had several more cases and it was like COVID was not here in the facility. You know, there was not a proper separation of those detainees whenever they come in. You know, there's a 14-day incubation period. You know, they weren't separated. You know, whenever you question and then you didn't have the proper PPE, I admit I refuse. I have sickle cell. I have kids that have underlying conditions as well. They're asthmatics. So the protocol was not being followed. It was not properly reported to the health department. It was not properly reported to the CDC, nor was it properly reported to LaSalle.
You were essentially demoted, as my understanding from the complaint, right? That from a full-time employee to sort of a more kind of at-will swing employee. Your contention is that that was essentially punishment for your statements about the unsafe environment you felt there, your resistance to working when you had symptoms. Is my understanding correct there?
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Woody, you look like you want to say something. What do you want to say?
I did want to jump in and say that Ms. Wooten has been a vocal, critic of the conditions within the facility for many months, and the most recent retaliation of demoting her was, to some extent, was just a buildup of all of her internal whistleblowing over the course of months, and especially since the beginning of COVID.
So that was that. So what do you think, everybody? Gosh. So Dwayne says, Trump thinks he's sterilizing these undocumented women that will stop the majority minority nation where whites are a minority and Latinos majority. He will fail. Yeah, he's a real sicko. I have I'm sorry, I believe everything this woman said. Everything. This is who he is. Trump is a eugenicist. That is a fact. Why do I say that? Because he's on video blabbing away about his eugenicist ideologies. I suppose I should put the video up at some point of him talking about his superior genes. He is disgusting. He has allowed ICE to do unbelievable things. If you go back and look at some of the videos, I did extensive research on what was going on with the kids. 7 children have died in custody. As you all know, before that, there were, in the last 12 years, 0 children died in custody. 0. Okay. Trump allowed 7 children to die in custody, let thousands be taken away from their parents, their loving, snatched from their parents' arms. He allowed a stack this high of paperwork filed of minors who were raped and molested while in ICE custody. And he just shoved it under with a bunch of paperwork. He's burning some of this, getting rid of some of the stuff out of the document files. I mean, this has been crime after crime after crime. It's unbelievable. I say, Dim, welcome. In a civilized country, the people would lynch such a leader publicly and install their own. Yeah, I guess, you know what? You're absolutely right. At what point do we basically, the entire nation, go to the White House and just say we won't have this anymore? At what point do we rebel and say no more? What does he have to do? I mean, we talk about shooting someone, on Fifth Avenue. Well, how about aiding and abetting the murder of 200,000 people who, many of whom probably didn't have to die? Yet he still will probably get nominated voted. voted for and win. We're in some serious deep shit here, people. It's really scary. The last video I have, last video of the day, is kind of interesting. I knew this guy was hired, but I just didn't know the depths of which his lunacy went on, and I'm going to play it for you because this is absolutely nuts. The conspiracy theorist loving, I don't even know what to say. You need to hear this and make sure other people hear it too. This is who's handling the Health and Human Services and the COVID virus. This is their communications director. Check this out. It is scary.
Ranking communications official at the department in charge of combating the pandemic. The Department of Health and Human Services is a dangerous crank who is undermining science and raving about delusional conspiracy theories. His name is Michael Caputo. The Trump administration installed him at HHS in April, right, in the midst of this once-in-a-century pandemic, despite a history of sexism and racism and conspiracy mongering that would keep most people from getting hired just about anywhere, never mind the Trump administration. New York Times reported that Caputo posted a video on Facebook yesterday in which, get this, he accused career government scientists of sedition, claiming they do not want America to get well, not until after Joe Biden is president. Caputo also claimed that Trump's opponents are now training for an armed insurrection after the election, telling his followers that hit squads are being trained all over this country, quote, and when Donald Trump refuses to stand down an inauguration, the shooting will begin. The drills that you've seen are nothing. He added, if you carry guns, buy ammunition, ladies and gentlemen, because it's going to be hard to get. Caputo also said, this is the guy who's currently the head of comms at HHS right now. This is what he posted yesterday. He also said he expected that these imaginary left-wing hit squads would be coming to kill him personally. Now, these are the ravings of a man completely untethered from reality. But they're not much of a surprise, I got to say, coming from Michael Caputo. Just the month before he was appointed as the top spokesperson at HHS, he was saying offensive things like this.
I'm so proud of the president standing up in front of the media, accusing him of creating a stigma by calling it the Chinese coronavirus. You know what created a stigma for China? You know what did? By maybe even manufacturing this in a bioweapons facility in Wuhan, or maybe it's their eating habits where they suck the blood out of bats and eat the ass out of anteaters.
There's zero evidence that it was manufactured in a bioweapons facility, just FYI. So that guy, that Michael Caputo, the one who thinks that the left-wing hit squad's going to kill him, that there's going to be shooting, telling people to stock up on the ammunition, who talks about eating the ass out of anteaters. This is the man in charge of disseminating public information about the pandemic. Now, probably goes without saying, Caputo has no background in healthcare. He's a longtime ally of, yes, you guessed it, Roger Stone. In fact, he was mentored by him. And he has long worked to boost Trump, recently authoring a book called The Ukraine Hoax. He's praised white supremacists and alt-right figures, pushed anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. While he has now apparently purged his entire Twitter account, he's posted and deleted racist and sexist tweets, complete with crude references to oral sex, and tweets like, I would never sleep with you, dog face. Cool guy. This guy isn't just pushing this nonsense, this disgusting, paranoid, dangerous nonsense from his government perch. He is, in fact, actively working to manipulate what the CDC tells the public about the pandemic in what is arguably the single most important public health publication in the world. It's called the CDC's Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Reports, and it had, until Donald Trump, been apolitical. Think of it like an epidemiological version of the newspaper's stock charts or baseball box scores, right? Write-ups of games. It's a publication that informs scientists and public health experts about the latest data and trends in infectious diseases. Everyone reads it in the world of public health, everyone. On Friday, Politico's Dan Diamond first reported that Michael Caputo and his team had been working to change the reports to hew closer to the president's more optimistic message. Quote, Caputo and his team have attempted to add caveats to the CDC's findings, including an effort to retroactively change agency reports they said wrongly inflated the risks of COVID-19. Caputo's team also has tried to halt the release of some CDC reports, including delaying a report that addresses how doctors were prescribing hydroxychloroquine, the malaria drug favored by Trump, as a coronavirus treatment despite scant evidence. That's not all, though. This thing is kind of happening everywhere right now. A Trump administration appointee and advisor to Caputo is trying to prevent Anthony Fauci from speaking about the risks that coronavirus posed to children. Meanwhile, top U.S. officials told the CDC to soften its coronavirus testing guidelines, right? I want to slow the testing down, the president said, in an apparent effort to get case numbers down. The FDA says it is willing to fast track a vaccine before phase 3 trials end as Trump pushes for one to be released before Election Day. The Times is now reporting that officials are worried about the prospect of an unvetted vaccine and the pressure being brought to bear on the FDA. This is what is happening in America in the midst of a pandemic under Donald Trump. Political hacks, cranks like Michael Caputo, that guy, they are working in positions of authority to undermine the science we need to fight a once-in-a-century pandemic in an attempt to cover up the illness and death the president is responsible for and to boost the president politically. The politics of denialism are running roughshod over scientists, and we saw that on absolute full display today. Couldn't come up with a better tableau than this. Trump's event in California, which has been devastated by forest fires.
We want to work with you to really recognize the changing climate and what it means to our forests and actually work together with that science. That science is going to be key, because if we ignore that science and sort of put our head in the sand and think it's all about vegetation management, we're not going to succeed together protecting Californians.
Okay, it'll start getting cooler. You just watch.
I wish science agreed with you.
Well, I don't think science knows, actually.
It'll start getting cooler. That's the guy that said cases were going to go down to zero before he had 6 million cases and almost 200,000 Americans dead. That guy. So it's hard to think of anything more dangerous at this moment than letting the Michael Caputos and Donald Trumps of the world tell us what the science knows actually.
Wow. Thanks for listening, guys. That's just crazy. Did you guys know that? I don't know if you caught this because there's so much news going on, but Scientific America is, oh my gosh, let me just read this to you. Scientific America has never endorsed a presidential candidate in its 175-year-long history. This year, we were compelled to do so. We do not do this lightly. The evidence and the science shows that Donald Trump has badly damaged the U.S. and its people because he rejects evidence and science. The most devastating example is his dishonest and inept response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has cost more than 190,000 Americans their lives by the middle of September. He's also attacked environmental protections, medical care, and the research and public science agencies that help this country prepare for its greatest challenges. That is why we urge you to vote for Joe Biden, who is offering fact-based plans to protect our health, our economy, and environment. These and other proposals he has put forward can set the country back on a course for safer, more prosperous, and more equitable future. In their 175 years of that's unstinking believable. Let me just, Jeremy, it's kind of weird that a vaccine will only take a year, even though it takes 18 months and usually, or more to get a vaccine. Jeremy, I'm right there with you. I'm not over my dead body. Am I taking any vaccine or letting anybody I know and love take it? That is ridiculous. I'm sure Trump will somehow try to make this vaccine available. We cannot trust the CDC. We can no longer trust the CDC. They are working under undue influence of some very, very ascientific, very bad people. We're in a real dangerous spot. I just can't believe that Scientific America, it's one of the most well-respected, and the CDC standards they keep changing every few weeks. It's insane. Jeremy, absolutely. And there's a reason. I can't believe they're caving to the pressure of this absolute lunatic president we have, and his lunatic clan of people who support him. Um, First time to protect science and honesty. Yeah, it's it's really, really, it's nuts. It's just nuts. Um, I don't even. There are no words. There are no words. So I've thrown up a bunch of new videos today, um, and I have another one coming on the Dunning Kruger uh, effect and why it's so darn dangerous that we use the Dunning Kruger effect, um, and that we constantly do it. Trump's constantly doing it, and it's really, really bad. And what it has to do with this uneducated populace. Jeremy, I think it's time to kill the heart of politics in order to keep medicine in its fullest refined form. I don't even know what that means precisely, if we can even say that, but I feel you. I think. Twain, the CDC is compromised. That is an actually incredibly excellent way to put it. Any vaccine we should not trust our lives with. An election opportunistic stunt. Absolutely. Eyesight dim. What does kill the heart of politics mean, though? That's kind of what I was wondering as well. It sounds fancy, but Jeremy, meaning we need to keep politics outside of medical facilities 100%. Oh, absolutely. But it seems like Trump and his enablers, I agree 100% with what you guys are saying, have what compromised. They have compromised all these areas that, okay, I didn't know you could be not believe in science. It's like, what the actually, not believing in science? Seriously? I didn't know that was even a thing before Trump and his people. Um, I really feel like, obviously this is an understatement. If this has gone too far, we might be too far gone. I don't know if you guys think he's going to even leave if he does lose. Oh my gosh. Eyesight tip. There's still competent scientists and medical practitioners working at the CDC, but its leadership is compromised. That's actually a really great way to put it. I'm really happy you're here, Jeremy and Eyesight Dim. Thank you so much for being here. Pluturn. Trump is just a symptom of the overall disease that is embedded in American DNA. Yes, he is. Absolutely is. And, a lot of people are saying, it's a great point. It's the point that we always have to bring up, during the weekly shows. Here's the bottom line. Right now, he is the person in power circumventing the Constitution. He really is circumventing the Constitution. He's got litigation backed up to who knows when, where. We're at a very scary time. It's only going to get worse. Like, you need me to say that? No, you do not. It is, I mean, the news cycle alone is like every hour. I can't keep up. Because to be against racism and inequality to folks means that you hate America. And that's it's kind of interesting. That is right, is a classic cliche denial, and it's rather un-American. Not what you're saying, but I know you're representing a statement that many white supremacists or white people in general say. It's a real excuse. You don't like it here, go back. You know what I have to say to that? There's nothing more American than standing up and trying to create a more perfect union. That is what we are supposed to do as citizens, is to speak up and stand up for our fellow humans. And when people say, oh, go back to here, go back to, how about this? How about white folks can go back to Europe or wherever they're from? Because you know what? This is not just a white person country the way Trump would like to have it and all his clan would love that. It is not. And people who say that, stuff like that, what they're basically saying is, I'm a racist piece of shit, and that's the best I can do. I mean, when Colin Kaepernick took a knee and people were freaking out, I did a video, and it basically said there is nothing more patriotic and American than nonviolently protesting inequality and inequity of our fellow humans in a country that boasts liberty and justice for all? What the F? I mean, so I'm totally get it. And you know what? It's unfortunate that we've come to this place where Trump has a clan of followers, and it really is cult-like in nature. It's been studied, and Trump's following suit with what many dictators have gotten away with. And I truly believe he won't leave office, no matter what. And I truly believe we are absolutely a dictatorship. And remember, they're not going to say and announce it, we're a dictatorship. I disagree. I'm still here. Let me catch up. One must realize that. Okay, I got to catch up to everybody. Hang on a second. Jeremy, one must realize that science spawned from the human consciousness, which is why many reject science, because human flaws can generate undesired results, thus give an excuse for people to ignore it. Also, the whole religious thing has been like historical of, science. If you can't, they're saying, a lot of times they're saying you can't be religious and scientific at the same time, which means that if science is real, then that's, against religion, and the whole story. But I say that, but I do hate America because I'm against racism and inequality. Yeah. Okay, let me just try to catch up to where I'm. Okay. I disagree. I'm sorry. I think don't be sorry for disagreeing. That's total doublespeak. America has historically crushed peaceful protests with deadly violence. Right. I'm personally not saying they haven't, but what I'm saying is there's nothing more American, as in our Constitution and us as citizens. What's happened in reality, I mean, de facto, tons of shit goes down. I mean, in reality, we're not supposed to be racist. We have a law against it, but you can't control somebody's heart, and you can't, we have the ideals, and then we have the reality of what's happening. So I'm in no way saying that peaceful protests haven't been crushed. That's not what I was saying. I'm saying there is nothing more American than to do that, to uphold the standards that our Constitution has. Let me see. I'm going to just skip over because I said, what is really American? What the Constitution supposedly promises, or the lived reality of America? Well, I think both. I think that the founding fathers, as flawed as most of them very much were in their own personal character, set up our Constitution to change with time. And that it's up to us, the people, America is a theory, and it's an experiment. It's the great experiment, supposedly. But our Constitution can change with time. But the whole thing with capitalism, unchecked, has gotten out of control. Now our Constitution is very complicated. I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I'm not done believing in our Constitution. Maybe we finally found a man who has destroyed it. I don't know. But I do know that the power grab that Trump's done is basically stop the checks and balances. I mean, I guess we'll find out. I think America's done. Yeah, no, I understand. I don't blame you one bit, and I'm on the edge myself. I'm on the edge myself. I don't for 1 minute think that I don't get it. Yes, I'm really, really idealistic. Easy for me to say. White privilege, economic privilege, for the most part, compared to most, I suppose. But yeah, it's out of control. It's out of control. Let me read some of your comments, because you guys are making excellent points, and I'm just kind of skipping through to stick with one, and it's not really doing much good for the other people. Let me just back it up. I cite them. It's very ironic now, claim that peaceful protest against injustice is the most American thing. I guess that's me talking when I think of what the founding fathers had in mind with the Constitution. In reality, with this police force out of control, it's causing havoc, and it's just I'm not sure if it's going to work. But in my mind, peaceful protesting has always gone with America. Now, this is the America that I saw, and it doesn't mean it's perfect, but like when Colin Kaepernick did it, I thought he was a hero, personally. I thought he was a hero. A lot of white people couldn't stand it because they had to see, they just want to watch black people play football. They don't actually want to care about their freaking human rights. And it bothered us because, you see, we just want to have fun. We don't want to have to think or feel bad about anything. And that was the problem, is he spoke the truth and he put it in our face and we had to face it. And a lot of people couldn't stand it because we have white fragility, we have white privilege, we have all these things that stop us from being honest. And it's, I mean, I think our nation's done. I think we're a dictatorship already. There's not going to be an announcement. Trump circumvented the Constitution, as far as I can tell. I guess this election will speak to that. Very scary. The last 4 videos that I posted just today, that alone, they are terrifying. But with the combination of years of this going on, it's unbelievable. Nails and glitter. I'm actually happy with the state splitting up because I'm in a decent state. Well, that's good. Old Hickory. Let's assume USA had true equality under the law. It was a free market. If people still had differences and unequal outcomes, would that still be enough, or do you want equal outcomes? I'm not for equal outcomes. I'm for equity personally. Old Hickory. Equity. Equity is not equality per se. I'd like equality to be afforded in justice, but I'd like equity. And equity means a whole different thing, which define a free market. Yeah, I mean, there is a chance that the truth being said is that it is impossible to have equity with the way capitalism is in our country. I mean, right now, capitalism is like capitalism on steroids. It's out of control. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But right now, we are so screwed. And that I think we all can agree on. Do you see equity in nature? If so, can you give an example? In human nature, oh my gosh, in human nature, I think equity is attainable. I don't know if it is in America. Honestly, I used to think it was, but I don't know. Now that it's changed so drastically. Because remember, I don't think Trump's going to leave office. And I think he's going to be a dictator. And I think we are totally screwed. And I think he's going to win again. And if he doesn't win again, he's going to be there. But I feel like, okay, I'll just make one closing statement. This is a great conversation. I feel like we have an obligation, because you see, we're humans, and humans are supposed to be special. We have this amazing ability to do critical thinking, and critical thinking skills are really special because animals don't really have that in general. They go by instinct. When they get upset and they have problems, they react out of fear, out of emotions. We don't have to do that. We can actually think. But right now, we're kind of not. A lot of us aren't thinking. And so it's a really, really, really tough place to be. Animals are animals. So you are saying we have to be barbaric because we're animals. I'm not 100% sure who those questions are coming to, but you're bringing up excellent points. This is an interesting conversation. I mean, are we talking about the ideal of what we have, this, constitution that I think we still have? I'm not sure. Are we talking about reality? Are we talking about a combination? I don't know. But all I know is that Charles, all I know is that I expect more out of my fellow humans. And that is to be humanistic in all endeavors. And we're not doing it. Not even close. Interesting argument. Yeah, I'm not sure. If you want to continue this, I have my personal, private message up there. I'm going to have to wrap it up for tonight, but wow, very, very interesting conversation at the end. A lot going on. Sorry, I wasn't I was trying to follow a few threads here and there, but I don't know what's going to happen, but I know things are going to be getting much, much worse. Yeah. See, I'm not sure if right, Dwayne. I'm kind of more, yeah, interesting. Oh my gosh, you guys, please message me privately. It's above in the thread where you can get a hold of me. If you are new to my site, please consider subscribing and supporting my anti-racism, anti-corruption, anti-bigotry, and trying to fight for better equality. Jamie, thank you so much for being here. Jeremy, I appreciate you being here. Nails and Glitter, you're awesome. And Dwayne, you're coming on the show soon, I hope. And Eyesight Dim, I would love to chat with you on the side if you are able to, and talk about your ideas. And Jeremy, you're awesome. And Old Hickory, I am very happy you're here. And I don't know if I personally answered any questions, but this is what we need. And the Eyesight Dim, I'm thrilled to have you back again. And anybody else who is still watching, thank you so much for being here. So if you believe like I do that it's way past time for white America to start taking racial responsibility and supporting our brothers and sisters who are Black, Brown, Indigenous, African American, etc., then please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, watch my videos, and tell me what you think. I learn from people watching. I read every single thing you write. Unless it's like really nasty, then I don't even publish it. But most of them are okay. I mean, I do get lots of weird threats, things, and whatnot. But I read everything. I honestly read everything, and I'll try to comment on everything as well. In time, I'm a little slow because it's just me, but this means the world to me. Please keep up this great conversation. It's really important to talk about it. We're in some scary ass times, I'll say that much, and I think most people would agree. But thanks for being here, and I will see you hopefully next week. I do this every week, and your input is what makes the show, because I just sit here and blab and try to read. And let me see if there's a couple more comments. Oh, good night, Dwayne. Kitchen Politics, thank you for being here. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I say when you're more free, I would love it. And what are your contacts? Very cute. And good night, everybody. Jamie, thanks for being here. All right. I know I'm skipping people, but I really appreciate having everybody. Feel free to keep commenting. I'll do it for a little while. And if you watch any of the videos on my YouTube channel, please, put what you think, because I want to hear your perspective. It's really important to me. So thank you. Good night, everybody. Sweet dreams. Please stay safe. There's some real nuts being emboldened out there, like you need me to tell you. So good night, everybody. I'll see you next week, I hope, or somewhere in the comments. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here.